Let us start. Keep coming.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let us start.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, um, before start of the session, I will introduce about the first today's eminent speaker, Professor Dr. Abdul Samad sir. He is former Director of Instructions and Dean, Faculty of Veterinary Science, Maharashtra Animal and Fisheries Sciences University, Nagpur. Dr. Abdul Samad sir obtained his bachelor and master's degree in veterinary sciences from Bombay Veterinary College and completed PhD from the Ontario Veterinary College, University of Guelph, Canada, on scholarship. He taught veterinary medicine at Parbhani and Bombay Veterinary College in various capacities and was elevated to the post of Dean, Bombay Veterinary College, and Dean Faculty and Director of Instructions in the Maharashtra Animal and Fisheries Sciences University in India. He was instrumental in developing several research centers, notably India's first veterinary nuclear medicine center. His major research area has been targeted veterinary drug delivery system for treating important cow diseases such as brucellosis, filariasis, and tuberculosis. He has 7 patents to his credits, several of which have been assigned to industries for commercialization. After retirement, he continues to be freelance researcher and consultant. Sir has visited many countries, USA, Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, UK, Switzerland, Sweden, Denmark, Canada, Brazil, Nigeria, and other countries. And sir is recipient of several national as well as international awards. Sir has also developed a spot test for diagnosis of subclinical mastitis based on detection of alpha-1 antitrypsin in milk, and many kits sir has developed. Many more achievements are there. Only a few I have mentioned here. So with this uh, few means brief introduction, now I request and invite sir for presentation, please.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for an elaborate introduction. I'm really thankful to the organizer for giving this opportunity to interact with the cross section of the participants. Uh, Now, I have chosen this specific topic because we are all aware that uh, presence of antibiotics in milk is a major source of antibiotic resistance. And as a veterinarian, should develop strategies so that we can control mastitis and then the usage of drug for mastitis will reduce. That in turn will be helping in reducing the antibiotic resistance. Now, what I am going to do today is explain to you what is the dimension. I am able to estimate.
सर गुड मॉर्निंग सर.
Good
सर
morning.
सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट. तुमचा थोडासा आवाज हे होतोय.
Uh,
हॅलो हॅलो. सर नॉट ऑडिबल, नॉट ऑडिबल. Hello. Sir, you are not audible. Hello. Hello. Sir, please unmute yourself. I think. Sir is very good in. Sir, I think the problem is in microphone.
Can you now listen to me?
Now it is listen, but I think that is in microphone. Some problem is there.
So I have removed microphone.
Ah,
So is it okay now?
yeah. Now it's okay. Now it's okay, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. Actually, the train problem, I trapped in GTB railway station. Sorry for that.
Okay. So now what I'm going to do today is speak on few things that are happening newly on this topic. You are all familiar with the disease. You are all familiar with other factors. So I will not go into details of mastitis, but would restrict to what work I have done for last 15 years uh, to control mastitis as well as towards other health programs. Uh, so what I would be talking today is give you dimension, because now I'm able to have data of a large number of animals, and we have got number of dairy processors and cooperatives who are using the data recording system. So their all veterinary services and visits are recorded, all treatments are recorded, diseases are recorded. So I'm able to analyze and find out what exactly is happening in case of other health, how much of antibiotic is being. And then I would be talking about innovation technologies which our team, with the help of you must have heard a lecture from Dr. Devarajan. So she has been my associate, and we also have Dr. Mala Menon from College of Pharmacy, Kalina. So with them, we have been I know working as a team and developing certain technologies which are going to be very useful and available commercially. So I'll be talking about those technologies so that you will become aware of what is happening in this area. Now we know mastitis is a ubiquitous problem. It's all over the world. Even in developed world, mastitis is there. So mastitis will always be there whenever we have animal management system, and that is the reason why it is called as management disease and not a bacterial disease. So this is something which we have to keep in mind, that mastitis is not only because of bacteria, but there are several management factors which are responsible to cause mastitis. And as you know, bacteria and organisms are ubiquitous. They are there everywhere in the environment. So it's very difficult to control bacteria. But it is quite easy to control other factors, because now we know that diseases are multifactorial. Although bacteria may be an essential cause, but unless other risk factors and precipitating factors are there, you won't get the disease. And those risk factors are very easy to identify and easy to control. So I have shown here that there are large number of factors which are responsible, out of which we pick up few which we will be able to control so that we can attack mastitis. This is 1 year data from my Herdman software. I have access from one of the dairy cooperatives. There, we have record of around 1,25,000 veterinary visits. So these are the visits of the graduate vets, and every visit is recorded along the time and the disease and the treatment which is given. And since in the database there is also cost of every medicine, so we are also able to calculate the cost. what we do is every quarterly we calculate cost of each disease in the area, and then we advise the area cooperatives to control if it is in a controllable problem. Out of 1,25,000, around 32,000 were for mastitis and other related diseases. Mind well, these are the visits of the private vets, and we are all aware that initially many more farmers might be going directly with the drug suppliers, medical store, and getting medicines and treating their animals. And after that, only they would ask the veterinarian if it is a complicated case. And the value of antibiotics which we have calculated from the database is around 666 billion rupees per year. And the number of antibiotics which were used were different age types, and out of that, 80% were intramammary preparations. So you can imagine that if I am giving an antibiotic intramammary, and because it is in ointment form, not much of it is absorbed in circulation. It will remain local. And therefore, if milk is not withdrawn, if milk is not flown, then this antibiotic is going to be there. So it's going to cause lots of problems. So that is the reason we say that mastitis is the number one problem as far as presence of antibiotics and drugs in milk as a residue is concerned. And if we are able to attack this problem and solve the problem to a certain extent, then we can we can reduce the we can increase the food safety in terms of reduction of residues in milk. Now, what are the elements of mastitis control program? Now, it should be actually part of overall herd health program, and this is what I have been popularizing during last several years. That rather than vet only acting as a clinician and coming in contact or coming on the scene only for treating sicknesses, we should get ourselves involved in health management and productivity management. And in that case, the treating sicknesses will be only a small part of it. So if you look at Western countries, most of the vets who are practicing large animal, they are all herd medicine practitioners. They are all herd health management practitioners, and they advise farmers on control programs as well as strategies how to increase the product. And mastitis control program is part of that. The second is monitoring the situation, because if you want to implement control program, you have to have you got to know what is the dimension of the problem in the farm or in the area, and then monitor that. And for monitoring, what generally is done in mastitis is we detect at the subclinical stage. So there are several tests that are available for detecting subclinical mastitis, and the most familiar is California mastitis test. The problem with California mastitis test is that it needs to be calibrated for each country based on what is the threshold of leukocytes that is accepted. There are countries who have got around 500,000. There are countries who have 350,000. So you'll have to calibrate their California mastitis. Another problem with California mastitis test is that it's not very useful in puppies, and that I will come to that topic later on. There is another test which is based on trypsin inhibitor detection. Now, this alpha-1 antitrypsin is basically an inflammation marker. There are which present in animal and another marker is presence of somatic cell count. Basically, here the somatic cell count is directly counted, and there are now cell counters available which will be able to. The third is treatment of clinical cases. This is extremely important, and that I'll discuss in some detail. Milking management, udder hygiene, and life of baby. So all these things will be discussed. Now, the most important factor which I have found in practice is housing, and I think housing decides the health status of the animal. This is one area which has remained neglected. For the farmer, animal housing means wherever space is available, tie the animal. That's it. If it is there on the roadside, tie the animal over there with the kuta. If it is farm, then tie the animal under the tree or anywhere space is available, without considering the comfort factors which are necessary and hygiene factors which are necessary. Look at this buffalo, and if you can see, I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see. It's totally cement, concrete floor, and it is all laden with dung and urine because animal is tied. It is sitting on all that shit 24 hours. Now, in this situation, you can imagine, the infection is going to enter in mammary gland because mammary glands are or udder is going to come in contact with all this contaminated flow. So I have focused more on animal housing improvement as a part of overall health management programs, and I have found that the most important benefit which a farmer gets um, is controlling mastitis. So there are people who have not called a vet for treating mastitis for years now, and I'll be showing those models. So over here, uh, for udder health, floor is important, and if you have hard floor, and if you are not having any bedding on that, I'm not against cement concrete floor. Cement concrete floor is very common in Europe, but they have bedding over it, and that is the soft bedding. It will keep floor dry, and we are not, our farmers will not be able to invest in that kind of keeping it or keeping dry. Uh, they cannot invest in bedding material, so that's why they will tie the animal all the time with the cement concrete. Even brick floor ramps. Those are all very dangerous floor for the animals. And I think these kind of things are the mother of all the problems because then they have to wash the floor, they have to wash the animal 24 hours. There will be humidity, lot of water will be used, and because of humidity, there will be respiratory problems, spine problems, as well as other. So what we have done? So what we have proposed is that you know we are blessed with sun, we are blessed with earth, so we should be able to make use of it maximum. What is happening currently in the housing is you prepare brick walls, and the brick walls are full brick walls, and then you find that there is wind is not blowing inside. Then you put fan. After fan, you find that it is only hot air, which is blowing. So then you want to put, shower, foggers. So all these things again will lead to lots of problems. So that for our climatic conditions, a very simple housing system solve the problem. So this is a thematic system which has been proposed by FAO, because FAO also says that you should have, you know, uh, the basic principle of a good house is that it should remain dry all the time. That you are able to ensure maximum problem solved. And then the kind of flooring which you should have good drainage. So I'll not go into details of this, but I'll show you some of the models which we have been able to develop in Western Maharashtra. This is one simple model. You can see all locally available material has been used. Animals are let loose. There is no concrete flooring. It's very dry. You can see the cleanliness index of them. They are very clean. You don't need to wash them for years. See, India and other neighboring countries are the only countries where animals are washed. Animals are not washed anywhere in the world, and that is because of our problem that we are tying them on the cement concrete floor where they are forced to sit on dung and urine. But if you keep them loose, then their health their fertility improves. This is another model you can see. This was one model which was displayed in one of the exhibitions. You can see this is another model. So people are doing it. They are having their own inventions and coming out with how they don't have to really invest in lakhs of rupees. You can I mean 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. You can see this is again very and very cost effective housing model. You can again see here how comfortably the animals are sitting. Now, since it is a dry floor, animals will not have a problem of mastitis. Another advantage of this housing is that the animal will be able to express their normal sexual behavior, and therefore heat detection is quite easy. Uh, there is one university, Uppsala University from Sweden. They once came here and they have conducted a study on the milk quality and milk qualities of cows that are kept in loose housing system versus the barn system, tied barn system. And they have found that in all these sports, the quality of milk and the quality of cow comfort, the quality of cow health, all indices related to those were extremely and significantly higher in loose housing and earth flooring system than other areas. This is another system which is for a larger farm. This is one farm which belongs to one of the MLA. It is also a minister in Maharashtra state. You can see here very simple system where animals are not tied, animals are loose, and they are all enjoying the sun. They are all enjoying freedom. And these are the areas where we have found that mastitis is totally controlled. So that's why I'm trying to elaborate here that for controlling mastitis, it's not necessary that you should come out, with very expensive, very modern kind of management system. Very simple interventions would also be able to give you quite a satisfactory result. Now, recently we conducted one competition in Maharashtra and Gujarat where we invited these farmers to submit their loose housing system, and we wanted to find out the best housing models and when to create an. So around 900 farmers participated, and we could see a lot of innovations. And when we interacted with them, uh, most of those farmers said that number one, no cases of mastitis after loose housing. They said no case of pneumonia, improved fertility, higher milk yield. Another thing they said that earlier they were to pick up dung every 24 hours of the time. Now with silage and with this kind of system, they spend 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. So there are a lot of benefits, and the biggest benefit you get from this kind of housing is mastitis control. I take refining and improvising the housing management system in case of animal as an essential and a critical part of the mastitis control program. Now we are extending the housing concept in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Rajasthan has already picked up. Gujarat, there are already a lot of such housing system, and we intend to take it throughout the country. You will have to consider the local climatic conditions also, and accordingly you can modify. If you have an area which is high rainfall, then maybe you will have to come up with certain modifications. If you are from, say, northern part where there is a lot of winter, in that case you have to consider. But remember, the temperature tolerance of animal is quite high. It's not like us. They have a tolerance level because they have skin, and skin is hairy. Skin thickness is very high. They have subcutaneous fat, right? So internal body is significantly insulated from outside weather. It is the humidity, which is a major problem for these animals. If you can control humidity, then temperature is not at all an issue. So the first message I would like to give is, if you want to run a control program, first go for housing management system. Convince the farmer that tying animal is not correct, not natural. And then use other food so that the house remains that kind of time. Now the second component is treatment of clinical cases. This is where the problem lies. Once there is a case of mastitis, it should be treated fully so that the infection is removed from the udder. If you are doing treatment only once or twice and then not taking it, then the infection residual will remain. There will be recurrences, and another problem would be that the bacteria which has been colonized in udder will also be excreted in milk, and there will be contagious mastitis, and it will pass on to other animals. Now, many people say that should be do antibiotic sensitivity every time? And I would say no. Do not treat clinical cases of mastitis on your antibiotic sensitivity test. Simply because milk is very rich in bacteria, and when you are culturing bacteria, you are going to get large number of colonies, and it will all depend on the expertise of your bacteriologist who is culturing. If he picks up correct colony, then you are getting the result of the causal bacteria. If he is not picking up the correct colony, then you are going to get the sensitivity test of a bacteria which is not the cause of the disease. So generally, what I suggest for these major dairy cooperatives and dairy processors is that you can keep on culturing these, from milk you can keep on culturing and prepare a profile of antibiotic sensitivity for the area, and based on that sensitivity you can come up with first line treatment, second line treatment, and third line treatment. So as far as antibiotic sensitivity is concerned, do not always run for sensitivity test, and do not too much rely, because that is something which has been done in the laboratory, and in case of in vivo something different. Another thing is repeated removal of milk is extremely important if there is a case of clinical mastitis. On the contrary, in certain areas, I have suggested the vets as well as the paravets that one thing which they should follow for treating clinical cases is repeated emptying of udder. Even if you don't give any antibiotic, on the contrary, I have shown them in the field that I have not used any intramammary antibiotic. I have not used any drug. Only to immediately remove all the toxic material as well as the contaminated bacteria from the udder, or contaminated milk from the udder. If needed, even inject oxytocin so that you have complete emptying. If there is swelling, ice, ice spiking, or reducing the swelling, and it want to give antibiotic under field conditions, I would always advise you to give some antibiotic which has got good software penetration capability intramuscular or intravenous, and not intramammary. Try to avoid intramammary preparations. Now I'll come to new technologies that are now coming up. There is one technology that has come up very recently, and we have filed a patent for it. We call it barrier technology. In case hello, in case hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because somebody just
Breaking, sir. It is breaking, sir.
not able to hear
The
me.
sound is breaking.
Hello. Okay, this is a barrier technology wherein the principle is that you don't kill the bacteria. You put a barrier so that bacteria will not enter the body. So in case of mastitis, the major route of entry is through teat canal. So if you are able to put a barrier near the teat sphincter, then bacteria will not be able to enter. And so this is very simple technology wherein what we have done. We have developed a polymer film which, if it is applied to the teeth, you form very rapidly you form a film, and that film is discontinuous, and the pore size is less than 0.2 micron. The bacteria will be able to enter. So that is the simple. So there is one barrier type teeth dip that has been developed, and for that you have two solutions. You have to dip the teeth in A followed by B, and get a polymeric film form which acts as binding. So this is something new which will be very soon available. The reason why we should not try to kill bacteria is because now lot of information is available that when you are using any germicidal teeth tip, like now iodinated teeth tip or any other teeth tip, is killing bacteria. That's fine. You are also killing bacteria, and these good bacteria are in large numbers. Now with this high throughput technology, they have been able to profile the bacterial colonies, the diversity of bacterial colonies or bacteria on the tooth skin. And there are now new reports coming up from Australia, from New Zealand, from several other countries, that these bacteria which are present on the skin of teeth is important for the flavor of milk and the keeping quality of milk. Now they have shown that the typical flavor which you get, say for example, cheese, from country A, is because of bacteria which are present on the teeth canal, on the teeth skin, and those are passed on into the milk and remain stable even after pasteurization, and they are the one which will give flavors. Now, most of the countries are now thinking of using teeth tips which are not germicidal, so that you are not killing bacteria, but you are only killing the entry of bacteria into the teeth canal, and that's how you keep the canal clean from contaminated bacteria. Especially, this is very useful when you are considering environmental bacteria entering the teeth canal. Another problem with us is that we have been using teeth tip that has been devised for Western countries. Now, the basic difference is in Western countries, animals are fed after milking. And the reason is after milking, the teeth sphincter remains open for some time, half an hour. And during that time, they want that animal should be standing and eating so that it doesn't sit. So by the time it sits, then whereas in our country, we feed animals at the time of milking. So, and after milking, they would go and sit on the floor. That would be a problem. So this barrier type, it will take care of the issue which we have in the country. Else, here it is. And this is the comparison which I have given, that in case of your conventional, you are using herbicide and antibacterial, whereas in case of barrier technology, we don't. And here I have shown you that bacterial penetration is occurring from each receptor. It will go into the canal. So if I simply put a barrier here on the teeth skin and not allow bacteria to enter, I will solve the entire problem. The only condition is that this barrier film which should be formed should be hydrophobic, not dissolve in water. So that even if animals, it is not dissolved and it should remain sufficient for 12 hours, so that by the time the animal comes to milking, the film is there. A very similar type of film, we have, and these are some of the experiments which we have done to prove that the barrier film is not allowing bacteria to enter. For a very simple test, we use rubber tubes, and these rubber tubes were dipped in our polymeric solution, and then this was then dipped into dung, sand, and other materials were added to bacteria, and then after some time we removed the media which had put in the tube, and we cultured the media, find out that there were no colonies. This proves that the barrier field was intact and was not really the barrier technology we have also tested in independently in one of the laboratories in Belgium, and they have done a comparative studies, and they have found that the is one technology was found to be the products that were this particular product currently in 12, 13. Yeah. So this is all about parity. That is the niche that we can for that we can market, whereas in Europe, very the name Paradroid. There are several. In case of buffalo, somatic cell count is not high. It's around 100,000 to 120,000. And there are large number of cases because I have been doing this somatic cell count for a very large number of animals with a cell counter and a cell counter that has been marketed by Dilawan. And we have found that somatic cell count in many cases is just around. With this, low somatic cell count, cell formation when you are doing CMT, therefore CMT is not taken as test to get subclinical mastitis. Number one. Number two, many vets also ask me that we have done subclinical mastitis. Got 25% cases that are what to do. I mean, should we administer antibiotic? And my answer is no. Don't try to treat subclinical mastitis. Subclinical mastitis is only to tell you that you have a problem. And if you are doing subclinical mastitis, then try to analyze the data based on lactation trend. If you have got high somatic cell count in those animals which are in early lactation, then the problem there is dying during the dry period. Now, if you have got high somatic cell count, more number of that will take that the problem is in lactation. So mostly it is because of contagious mastitis and the transmission is from down. So subclinical mastitis testing will tell you what exactly is the status of the bird, number one, and where exactly the problem lies. If I have got somatic cell count, large numbers in those cows which are in early lactation, then my prevention focus will be on dry cow. Whereas if I've got somatic cell count higher numbers in the cows which are in wet lactation, then I would say that it's a case of contagious mastitis. Maybe I can get it cultured, find out those are environmental bacteria, and there my control strategy would be individual. So subclinical mastitis test would not attempt antibiotic treatment because always subclinical cases will be 10 times higher than clinical cases. And if you are treating all these cases, then you'll have largest residues. Number two, barely treating cases is not enough because if it is entering through teeth canal, then it will enter even after we have. So try to see that the entry of pathogen is possible. That is where you focus rather than focusing on administering antibiotics. And number two, how you can keep the animals premise clean and dry. So if you are able to these things, then 80 to 90% of mastitis. Whereas for buffaloes, we have found that alpha antitrypsin test, which has been developed for buffaloes, works extremely well. Or there are also other tests that can be done. This is another problem which many farmers as well as the vets is what to do with the peak adult. So what happens here during the advanced animal is you have let's say another 10-15 days. They since the milk has started, udder is integrated, the prolactin secretion has taken place, but there is no oxytocin. So the milk which is synthesized is still in alveoli. And because of that, the animal is in pain, and then after some time you find that there is alveolar contraction and milk starts coming, although animal has not yet come. So people keep on asking me what to do, whether to remove milk or not to remove milk. What exactly? And my answer to them is always that if udder is integrated, if it is leaky and if it's coming out, then you must remove milk, because if you don't remove milk, then there is going to be a feedback mechanism wherein there will be negative effect on prolactin and secretion of prolactin. Such cows will not be able to give to optimum milk electrons. So intradural calcium immediately or before you are available. So if you have removed once and if you find that the problem is solved, fine. If you find that problem is not solved, then in that case, the best option available to you is go for premature delivery. And for premature delivery, I usually give dexamethasone 40 milligrams, 60 milligrams per month. And after 74 hours, you find animal will deliver normal. And this will happen if the animal is very advanced and it is for target. And these are some of the strategies which can be followed in case of PCI.
I think next question in the chat box is, sir, how much time period the polymer film will be effective to protect the entry of microbes? So that is in the chat box, sir.
Okay, we have done extensive trials, and you can use it. You can use it in situation. Situation number one is where you want to use it for milking cow, post milking as a post milking tip. Then post milking tip, it will remain intact up uh, second I mean, next milking. Uh, and for removal, what you need to do is just spray water and then some pressure, the film will come out. When you are dipping, a part of the film will also be found on the skin. That sometimes may dry and rub out, but the actual film which is there in the sphincter will remain for quite a period of time. We have done even radiography where I had incorporated it by the tip of barium as a contrast medium, and then we took the X-rays and found that it remains even after 50 days inside this difference. So the Obera dry, which I have mentioned before, where they are using in Europe, is they are basically using it in the last month of for calving. So there, what is happening? The cows are very high yielders, and there is always a problem of premature prolactin secretion. They have this problem where the sphincter gets opened 1 month before calving, and most of the cases which are is of this type where periparturient infection is entering into udder and it is causing acute mastitis after calving. And it's always toxic mastitis, and it happens immediately after cooking. Inflammation is removed and many times there is damage. What they are doing, they are dipping such cows every day with quantity, and they have found that if it is dipped, the film remains intact. This and if such 4 dippings are done, the cow is protected from punishment. I would say that film remains for a pretty long time. Yes.
Yeah. Any miss participants again want to ask the question? So I think all participants now, sir, all understood about all the aspects of mastitis control. So thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving the excellent talk on this aspect, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir, from my side also, sir. And for with you are very busy, and you have taken time to interact with all the participants, the PG students and the faculties of the veterinary science across the country, and shared your own experience also with all these participants, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. All the best, participants. Take care.
कितना
The industries which are mainly manufacturing the food, either it is vegetarian food or the non-vegetarian food, the processing stages are increased, and that is why the handling is also increased. And because of that processing stages and handling, there may be chances of getting food contaminated. So that is why we have to have focus on the food safety aspect in order to protect our human population from having this various food aspects of the various toxins which are of the pathogens which are maybe transmitted from the food. And because of the globalization, you can see our Indian food industry also, they are exporting the meat or the meat product to the various countries in European countries also, the Gulf countries were the number one exporter. And because of that globalization, we have to have careful about the food production and from right from the farm to the processing and then to the retail and also for the export purpose. Next. Then food safety and global concern, as you know that this is outbreak reported in 2011-12, the 1,632 cases of illness which may have reported that 29,112 hospitalization, out of that 1750, and death 68. So by concerning this foodborne diseases and outbreaks because of the consumption of the non-vegetarian foods, we have to be very careful as far as food safety is concerned. And this food safety is also get affected mainly because of that climate changes. As you know that there's already a rainy season is over, but still uh, uh, the rain is happening in across the country in various places. And because of that, there are some climate changes. Okay, the ecosystem has changed, which leads to the more pests, less predators, and more vectors for the microbes. So that is why the microbial contamination it happens and contaminate the food. There is a unseasonal rains also. You are also experiencing right now also the rain in Mumbai and in other places also. And because of that, humidity and the fungal growth causes the contamination in the uh, food. There is flooding in some part of the country also we are experiencing, and because of that, water contamination, soil contamination, and that may leads to the production of the unsafe food for the human consumption. So there is a higher ocean temperature. That is because of that the algal bloom is there, the algal growth happens, okay, which harbors the certain organisms which are very pathogenic in nature. That is Vibrio, cholera, Vibrio paramelticus, and in spore form like some strains like novel strains which may also happen in some part of the country. Uh, that is a 0139 Bengal strain of the Vibrio, and that causes the food poisoning. Changes in the aquatic life and the formation of marine biotoxins in the seafood, mainly due to the production of the phytotoxins by the harmful algae, and this happens mainly because of the climatic change, and this affects the food safety. So globally, you can see the food safety issues. Okay, there are different issues are there as far as the food safety is concerned. Number one is the drug residue. GMO, that is genetically modified organism, allergens, sanitation and quality, plant diseases, mycotoxins, and foodborne bacteria. So these are the global food safety issues are there we are facing, and that we have to uh, get rid of this and produce wholesome meat. The various stakeholders which are mainly involved in food safety, because one of the two person working in the food safety cannot control or cannot produce the more hygienic food, because there are various stakeholders which are mainly involved in the food safety, which contributes the hygienic meat production. The number one is the research institution, laboratories like various universities or the ICR research institutes. They can study the food safety in depth, and what are the protocols they are standardized. They can be implemented into the various food industry or the food establishment for the production and taking care of the contamination. Then industry, industry, what are the industries which are producing the meat and meat products, slaughterhouses, meat processing plant, okay, and other convenience food production like the fast food centers, okay, like Vista or the KFC foods, okay. So they have to also take care while producing the food. Then farmers organization, okay, those who are involved in the production of the animals. So while producing the animals for the meat purpose, we have to take most care. We have to take care of the using the antibiotics for the animal production. Okay, and consumer organizations are also there whenever the product comes into the public domain. So how it has to be presented, how it has to be served to the people, and anything is goes wrong, then our the consumer organizations are also there to point out certain things which may be mainly related with the industry or the farmers producer, so they can take prior precautions for producing the wholesome meat. Government agencies, there are government agencies are also involved in this food safety, like FSSI, okay, and BIS, and other food related agencies are also there. So they are also mainly involved in the as a food safety stakeholders and certain regulators. Okay, so these are the mainly the stakeholders which are mainly involved in taking care of the food safety aspect. The present status, this is I think 2012 census, animal census, but in 2019 also we have that animal census has been done. The livestock population has increased from this 512 million to about 536.76 billion in 2019. And these are the animal populations. We have a huge animal populations, and we are the number one as far as the livestock census is concerned. But India mainly contributes about 2.2% of the world meat production, and on the basis of that, the per capita availability of the meat in India ranks is about 170 in the world. So there are 2,702 registered slaughterhouses in the country as far as APIDA's the data is available. And India is one of the major meat producing country with the annual meat production is about 7.4 million tons in 2016-17. This is as per the animal husbandry statistic 2017, with the fifth rank in the meat production throughout the world. And out of this total meat production, these are the figures. Okay, we can see for the cattle, buffalo, sheep, goat, pig, and the poultry meat, which are mainly produced in our country. But out of that, 47.32% of meat is contributed mainly from the poultry, which are mainly followed by 13.83% by buffalo, then followed by goat, that is 14.22%, and then sheep, that is 4.6%, and pig 4.6.41, and the cattle, it is 4.62%. The food industry, mainly India is the world's second largest producer of the food next to the China. Okay, because we have huge number of the population, animal population. India is one of the world's major food producer, but accounts only less than 1.5% of the international food trade. Okay, so that is why we have a very good scope for the export of the meat and meat product, and also the other food products from our country. This indicates there is vast scope, and the food exports in 1998, if you see that, we stood about 12.8 billion US dollar, whereas the world total uh, meat export or the food export is about 438 billion US dollar. So we have great scope for exporting the meat and meat product and other food products from our country, and we can earn the foreign exchanges. There are about 29 meat processing plants, while 80 Indian abattoirs come meat processing plants. Out the standalone abattoirs only, okay, which provides only the slaughtering activity, which has been approved by the APEDA, Government of India. There are about 148 registered meat processing factories, which provides employment to around about 25, more than 25,000 people. And there are about 10 EFC approved meat and poultry product units in India, okay, which also exports uh, poultry meat. Okay, the country has exported to 69.66% metric ton of the processed meat to the world for worth of rupees 9.91 crore rupees or 1.58 USD million during the year 17-18. Uh, it has been reported that annually 5% cattle, 10% buffalo, 30.2% sheep, 99% pig, and 123% poultry. It has been slaughtered for the human consumption. The share of the bovine meat is about 62%, as against the 15% from the small ruminant, that is sheep and goat, 10% from the pig, 13.4% from the poultry in the total meat production in our country. So, but if you just come across with the various newspapers, whenever we read with the tea early morning in the at our home, we read one or the two news about the food poisoning cases. Okay, so that was this is just a scenario of the some of the food which are at the retail shop, at the processing plant, or at the farm level. It has been contaminated with the various organisms, and these are the various organisms we have to identify properly, and their control has been done at various stages of the meat production. Uh, the mutton and goat meat mainly demand has been increased, okay, with the 4.57 million tons, and the demand for the mutton and goat meat in the rural areas is about 16.19% and 83.81% in urban areas. Okay, urban areas more sheep and goat is preferred as compared to the rural areas. The demand for beef and buffalo meat is will be 1.00 million tons. The share of the rural and urban area will be 53% and 47% respectively. Chicken demand is always increases. Okay, it will be a 0.64 million tons, in which the share of the rural area will be 54.69% and the urban area is about 45.31%. Egg demands also increases by 31.47 billion, in which the share of the rural and urban is about 45.41% and 54.59% respectively. Okay, here also the urban area is more. So according to the moderate income growth in the year 2020, mutton and goat meat demand will goes to the 12.72 million tons, and the demand in the rural and urban areas will be 6.05 and 93% 0.95% respectively. So that is why the sheep and goat rearing farms are also increasing in the rural areas, and the government is also having this programs for the tribal areas also for the rearing of the sheep and goat meat in order to meet the demands of the consumers for the providing the hygienic sheep and goat meat. As far as the export of the meat is concerned, okay, the share of the Indian meat export is very less. That is about only 2%. So with this figure, we can make out we have a great scope for the export of meat. Adequate potential of the meat production exists in the country to meet the domestic demand and substantially which increases the export from our country. The India's international trade in the livestock and livestock products is mainly confined to the meat and meat product, that is about 82%. Live animal export 17%. Dairy and egg products 1%. Okay, so in some of the festivals like Bakrid, so we export our live animals also, sheep and goat, to the Gulf countries. So India exports both frozen, fresh, chilled meat to more than 54 countries of the world. The major items of the export mainly includes deboned, deglanded frozen buffalo meat, which accounts about 97% of the total mixed export from our country. The buffalo meat is mainly exported. The meat is produced from the animals procured from the disease-free zones, again like FMD and other diseases which are mainly identified by the government of India. So some of the areas which are declared as a FMD free, so from that area, these animals are procured and slaughtered for the export purposes. Wherein the slaughterhouses they are mainly HACCP and ISO 9002 accredited. So this is the trends of the meat in egg production in India. You can see from the 2012, 13 to 16, 17. So this is gradually increasing to the 7.4% from the 5.9% metric ton. Uh, then you can see here the 3 year export statement of the APEDA from the APEDA website. Again, here also you can see that there is an increased trend, but after 17, 18 and 18, 19. So after that, we have all experienced that COVID situation in our country. But after that, in 2020, it was a decline. But this is the only industry which are mainly survived in the COVID, and they have sustained and consistently provided the good hygienic meat to the human population of our country. Uh, as far as the safety is concerned, like microbiological food safety, and these are the various challenges for the Indian meat industry and the poultry industry. And these are the various organisms which mainly we have to concentrate and try to control in various production sites, like Campylobacter jejuni. Okay, we have to take mainly the good sanitation at the production level and at the hygienic conditions at the production site so that we can definitely control this Campylobacter jejuni. So that place we have to have take more precautions. Salmonella, it is known as also the multi-drug resistant strain. Okay, this causes the very great problem or threat to the Indian food industry. So that also we have to take care. Then E. coli, amongst that E. coli 0157A7. Again, this is mainly causes the young, elderly, and human compromise people. They have a great risk with this organism. So this has to be also taken precautions while producing the food. The Listeria monocytogen, the Bacillus staph aureus, Clostridium botulinum, Yersinia enterocolitica, and Mycobacterium paratuberculosis. So these are the organisms we have to think about more during the production of the meat and meat product. Some also the foodborne viruses, for example, like noroviruses, hepatitis A virus, hepatitis E virus, and enteroviruses. These are also plays very important role while producing this, and we have to take care of these viruses during production and providing this wholesome meat to the human consumption. Then you can see that there are different reasons for this bacterial foodborne illnesses. Mainly the improper hand holding temperature. Okay, because of some entrepreneurs or the producers, they changes the temperature or they don't doesn't maintain a proper temperature for keeping the product right from the production till it reaches to the consumer, and this mainly causes the major foodborne bacterial illnesses. That is, they contribute about 63%. Poor personal hygiene, if it is maintained, then 28%. Contaminated equipment for the processing and production, 23%. Inadequate cooking, 21%. Foodborne unsafe sources, if you are resourced person, the items, so they contribute about 12%, and other they mainly involve 20%. So if you take the total of this 100%, it exceeds. This is mainly because there are other multiple also factors which are mainly involved in causing this bacterial foodborne illnesses. What are the different sources of bacterial foodborne illnesses? Food service establishments, definitely 77%. Private home, 20%. And food processor, that is very less, that is 3%. Okay. And one case I have just quoted over here, that is United States Centers for the Disease Control, that is CDC, and 60 to 60% of the outbreaks, and the 40 to 50% of the cases of reported foodborne illnesses mainly remains unresolved and with the etiological agent unknown. Okay, that is why we cannot say 100% sure that these are the cases mainly emerge from that particular source. What can we can do to prevent this foodborne illnesses? That is the main aspect, or the main answer is we have to have the good food safety. Okay, so but this food safety is everyone's job. That is not only the producer's job, or not only the processor jobs, not only the consumer job, or not only the retailer's job. So we have to work together, and then only we can achieve the food safety. So then what producer has to do? The producer has to have the responsibility for having the good sanitation at its production site. He has to have the feed modifications, whatever it is given to the animals to grow, and have the good meat quality or the good weight gain. Then he has to have also the treatment part or the vaccines, whatever it is given to the animals during their growth the pattern. Okay, so these are the responsibilities mainly the producer has to see while producing or having this food safety aspect. Then the processor while processing the meat and meat product, so he has to take all these precautions and this facilities which is available at his site. That the refrigeration, the proper refrigeration temperature, he has to maintain 0 to 4 degrees centigrade throughout the storage. Okay, at least for the 3 days, and then the product is if it is blast freezed. Okay, we have to have maintain the temperature of the blast freezer minus 40 degrees centigrade. Then if the water chilling, it is mainly in case of the poultry and also in other small birds processing, they are mainly used. Water chilling, so the quality of the water is used, so quality of the ice is used. So that has to be taken precautions properly. Then only we will control the pathogen contamination. Then packaging, okay, what are the vacuum packaging has been done, or the other packaging methods like modified atmosphere packaging. So these are the packaging methods which are mainly used. It has to be used with the sterile packets, and all this precaution has to be taken. And then product is stored at adequate temperature and temp. Then these are the various control methods which are suggested for the having this good quality meat. Like the processor has to use a steam vacuum packaging method. Okay, hot water washing has to be given at hot water temperature is 160 to 180 degree Fahrenheit. Shower cabinet. And organic acids like acetic acid. These are the edible organic acids can be used for the taking the control of the pathogens. Then ozone treatment is also used for the packaging material. The steam pasteurization, acidified chlorides in case of the poultry to control the salmonella infection or contamination. Then the carcass and the product washing. Okay, these are the acidic, lactic, and the gluconic acid. These are the various organic acids. Edible organic acids can be used at various concentrations, which are mainly given by certain research institutes. Then chlorine, hydrogen peroxide. Okay, these are also can be used. Modified atmosphere packaging with the inert gases, the mixtures of like oxygen, carbon dioxide, and the nitrogen at various concentration, which can be used for the packaging for keeping the product for more shelf life. Then we have to also use certain ingredients technology also in preserving the food, like probiotics. This good bacteria which are mainly used as an ingredient. For example, making certain fermented sausages, lactobacillus mainly used, which decreases the pH and controls pathogen growth. Okay, so we can keep that product for the longer time at even the ambient temperature. Activated lactoferrin, this mainly provides the suckling mammals antipathogenic protection. Okay, this also can be used in food preservation, which prevents the growth of the pathogens from attacking the host, or very effective against the various organisms, and which we can keep that product for about 45 days. Then certain ingredient like technology like acidified sodium chloride is mainly approved by certain countries for using in the food, and cetylpyridine chloride. It is not approved by the Indian FDA, but in US FDA, it is approved, and they're using this for the control of the various pathogens. Then this is certainly this irradiation technology like gamma irradiation. Okay, this is mainly used for the uh, yeah, controlling the pathogen growth, like gamma rays, electron beams also can be used, which doesn't have any radioactive activity in the food. Okay, these are the beams only just bombard on the product, and which acts on the or destroys the bacterial DNA, and that is we can control the growth of the pathogens. The X-ray at a very low level, but it doesn't have the great effect on the shelf life extension. Okay. Then some of the intervention processes are
त्याकडनंच
also
प्रॉब्लेम
available,
होता आता
which
गेलं
can be
माझं
used
मध्ये
for as a substitute
त्या
method. We
फोनचा
can use
स्पीकर काही चालू नाही हे बघ. आणि त्याला
like
लवकर सांग हं. मला मामींना
All
परत कॉल
participants,
करायचं.
please be muted. Participants, please.
some of the intervention processes are also available, which can be used as a substitute for the like if it is having we are practicing the good manufacturing practices and sanitation standard operating procedures, then definitely we can get rid of certain pathogens which are mainly entering into the food production chain. Some of the HACCP also we have to implement. It will take care of right from the farm to the fork. Okay, so you have a control at every stage of the production, and this will eliminate the contamination of the various pathogens. Many plant uses several interventions like as an hurdle to control the pathogens. Okay, and this will be definitely uh, take care of the various organisms. Then how we can this foodborne illnesses can be prevented? So there are different methods uh, which fight backs the pathogens and keep that product for longer time. For example, like cooking. Okay, we have to cook the product very efficiently so that it will take care of all the bacteria. Then we have to separate. Okay, then chill, clean, and report. Okay, these are the five things are there so that we can keep the our product safe. Cooking is thoroughly cooking meat at 62 to 74 degrees centigrade, and eggs is at 73 degrees centigrade. So definitely it will take care of the organism. And after cooking, that product has to be served to the consumption, or it can be kept in refrigeration temperature, proper temperature and humidity. So clean, then what are the utensils or the equipment which are coming in contact with the food during the production or processing or the storage. So that has to be cleaned properly with using some of the uh, approved sanitizers, okay, and also the disinfectants, okay, and then only this equipments can be used. The separate, we have to have separate the raw and the also the cooked product. We should not keep in the one shelf the raw and cooked product together. It has to be separately storaged. Then chilling has to be done properly with the adequate temperature, that is 4 degrees centigrade, and also the if it is frozen temperature, then it has to be minus 18 to minus 20 degrees centigrade. Okay, so for the respective temperature, we have to keep it up. And whatever the storage the cabinets are used, like refrigerator or the deep fridge, it has to be cleaned regularly, properly, to maintain the proper temperature. Then report whatever the foodborne illnesses are happened, okay, immediately to the health workers, local health department, so that they can take proper precaution at immediately, so that it will not spread to the other healthy population. So in that, definitely there is a role by government it plays for preventing either producing or helping the industry for production and supplying this good meat to the uh, human population. So there are some of the industries or the government agencies are there plays very important role. The number one is Minister of the Food Processing Industry. So in the 12th plan, there are about 300 crores. The budget has been sanctioned, and they are helping the meat industry by implementing various uh, sponsored programs of the schemes like National Mission on the Food Processing, that is NMFP, for the implementation to the state and the union territories government. And under the mission, this mission, the funds are were shared about 75 to 25 ratio basis to the various state governments. Okay, and also some states like northeastern states, the share is about 90% share is of the central and 10% state share. Okay, and in also some of the poor states or the very uh, small states are there in our country. So there, the 100% grant from the central government is been provided for, and this scheme is mainly for the modernization of the slaughterhouses, okay, abattoirs, which are mainly existing in that particular state, so that they can upgrade their hygiene and sanitation in order to produce the good quality meat. So under the scheme for export, marine processing and the development of the uh, agro processing clusters, that is a Sampada, which is under the execution from the 2016 to 2020. Government is also undertaking efforts for the modernization and setting up the abattoirs. Okay, so you can visit this Ministry of Food Processing Industry website. Okay, this information is available. Then APEDA, you know that this is a mainly the government of agency under the Minister of Commerce, and this plays a very important role for the in promoting the meat industry and other industry, food industry, and agriculture produce industry. They are promoting for the export from our country for popularizing our product into the other countries and getting more foreign exchange. This agency is constantly involved in carrying out the inspection of the meat and meat products in slaughterhouses, food processing plant, storage premises. Okay, and they are regularly inspected, and they are given the renewal for 1 year, 2 years, depending upon the kind of the activities they are doing for the export purpose. And their agency is also involved in licensing the export abattoirs, okay, from our country. So yeah, either it is a new slaughterhouse or you are expanding your capacity for more animal slaughter or more bird slaughter. So they are mainly inspected by the APEDAS, and these units are helping them to uh, um, uh, export the more meat from our country. There is also Export Inspection Council is also there in our country under the Minister of the Commerce. Uh, this is also set up, and they are also mainly involved in export of the poultry meat and also the egg and fish. Okay, so these also conducts the inspection of these processing plants of the poultry, egg, and also the fish processing, and they helps the exporters from our country to export into the various countries like Gulf and other European countries, European and non-European countries, to get then more foreign exchange. Then FSSI, as you know, that this is a regulatory agency. Mainly they uh, involved in development of the standards for the various food which are mainly produced in our country. Okay, for export into the other countries also. Then HACCP is best, as you know that it is an scientific approach. Step by step process is also there. They mainly focus on the food safety aspect. There is a hazard identification, risk analysis, control of the hazard, emphasis on the prevention. Okay, so these plants, what are the plants which are mainly involved in export of the meat and meat products, that has to be HACCP accredited and certified. Okay, so then it is very easy for them to get into export of their product. New technologies of microbiological detection are also there, like biosensors, okay, then optical immunosensors, pan fiber immunoassay, then lateral flow assay. These are the techniques can be used for the microbe detection for the online um, diagnosis of the pathogens. But in future, you can see in the meat industry, okay, so there are some exciting time for the food safety regulations in India, okay. So there are development of the some standards or some new standards are developing in our FSSI to certain industries which are not in the export line. Okay, as on today, it has become the need of our for bringing in improvement in the existing food safety scenarios in India. Okay, so there are certain products which are not mainly initially they are in export list, but people they are now demanding this for the export of. But for such a product, the Indian government they don't have the standards. So such standards they are mainly developed by or mainly uh, developed by this FSSI in consultation with the various scientific panels and the scientific committees are there. So they develop these standards and which helps the industry for exporting the meat and meat product. There are urgent need for setting up the state of the art advanced centers of the excellence to undertake the analytical research. As you know that there are very small limited number of the labs are available in India. To take care of this, what are the food safety issues are mainly related with the meat and meat product, egg and egg product, poultry and poultry product, fish and fish product. At one center, like our center, we have a center of excellence. So such facilities are developed at a multiple places so that we can cater the needs of the industry, of policymakers, of the regulators, consumers, and we can provide the testing facility. So this is also need of today's, and definitely this FSSI and government of India will take care of this for developing such facilities in our country. Residue monitoring plan for the determining the presence of existing toxic chemicals in food. Okay, this also need to be developed. And if going forward, the collaborative efforts between the central, state, and the private sectors, along with effective consumer awareness, alone can address the challenge of the food safety. Okay, so as I mentioned in my earlier slides that food safety, various different stakeholders are mainly involved, so that all stakeholders come together and work together for meeting the challenges of the food safety in our country. And once the FSSI has all its technical and administrative infrastructure in the place, only then tangible improvement in the food safety can be expected. Okay. And as you know that the veterinaries, this is mainly plays very important role and the responsibility for epidemiological survey of the animal diseases and ensuring the safety and the suitability of the meat. Okay, so the veterinaries also has to be trained at various level for expertising them to identify the various diseases by doing some scientific epidemiological surveillance of the diseases, because surveillance is very strictly and monitoring is very strictly, then only we can control the diseases in our country, so that we can produce the healthy animals and which can be offered for the slaughter and for the human consumption. Veterinarians plays an essential role in application of the risk analysis process. Okay, so that is what the veterinarians needs to be trained in this particular area of expertise. The veterinary services may also provide livestock producers with information, advice, training on how to avoid, eliminate, and control the food safety hazards. Okay, so to meet these all three objectives, we have to have strengthen the knowledge or the skill of the veterinarians for proper production of the meat and meat products. Veterinary services plays a central role in ensuring the responsible and the prudent use of the biological products and veterinary drugs, including the antimicrobials in animal husbandry. Okay, so you know that everybody is in One Health also. So the AMR has a very important role. So that for preventing that antimicrobial resistance, that our use of the safe levels of the antibiotics into the animal treatment. So the veterinarian has to be trained properly. Control or the reduction of the biological hazards of animal in the public health importance by anti and postmortem meat inspection. Okay, so this has to be carried out properly by the veterinarians. So to conclude my talk, These are there are the three aspects mainly. That is a mandatory regulatory approach we have to have, and the preventive and educational strategies, as I mentioned in this slide, that veterinarian has to be trained at all the aspects for the monitoring and conducting the antemortem, postmortem scientifically, so that we can produce the good quality uh, meat and meat product or the other animal origin food for the supplying to the uh, healthy human population. So with this conclusion, the new Food Safety Act will help definitely to create a culture of the food safety with an integrated control from the farm to fork. Due to regulatory compliance, industries have to show the commitment to continued learning with a prompt response to emerging food hazards. FSSI is evidence-based, standard setting and the compliance and the enforcement authority with a focus on the prevention while enabling the effective reaction. Okay, so definitely this helps the industry to produce the hygienic meat and promotes into the meat export. Despite having the legal framework in place, India still struggles for enforcing the food safety norms and standards effectively. Effective implementation is sought with the plentiful challenges. So, as you know, that FSS has developed a very simple procedure for the registering any food establishment. Okay, but people they doesn't come forward very easily. Okay, so yeah, we have to have just enroll into this FSSI framework, then definitely our business will increase. So for that reason, the FSSI has to be do regularly uh, our awareness programs with the industries and also the small stakeholders. Currently, there are limited number of the food safety officers coupled with the shortage of quality laboratories lacking uniformity of standards. That is what whatever the center of excellence which are developed across the country by the state government or the central government, that has to be linked together to have that data sharing together in consultation with the food safety officers which are mainly working at the field level. Okay, so for the continuous or consistent monitoring of the food products which are sold into the Indian markets or the export. There is also an urgent need to upgrade the infrastructure in most of our food testing laboratories, and that is why we need that upgradation of the infrastructure. Need to encourage the private sector participation in setting up and maintenance of the laboratories. Okay, so I know that for the labs with a very highly sophisticated equipment in a government sector will have some limitations to run that. But for that reason, we have to have the collaboration with the private labs, having the good setup also for conducting some trials or conducting some research or analysis of or the testing of the food samples for the uh, human consumption. So thank you so much for patience listening. So any questions I can invite from the participants. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for excellent coverage of all these aspects of microbiology food safety challenges. Sir has covered many, emphasized on many aspects, including the climate change and the different issues, global issues. Sir has mentioned different foodborne pathogens, including viruses, different causes of bacterial foodborne illnesses, then sources, as well as solutions or different measures, interventions, what we can do, and measures for the prevention of foodborne illnesses. Also, sir has focused on the role of government agencies for the control of foodborne illnesses. Also, the veterinarian's role is needed in food safety aspects, and there is need to upgrade the infrastructure for food safety. Very excellent presentation, sir. And now can say that this is very much relevant topic for our 4 week certificate course program. Now, 2, 3 questions from the participants. They can directly ask or they can mention in the chat box. I think no questions means it indicates that all participants understood the topic. So once again, thank you very much, sir. Miss, in a short period of time, in the morning, we come to know that the miss our speaker has, because of his busy schedule, has denied for the presentation, and sir has prepared from the morning, and sir has presented very excellent manner all this topic. Now, once again, thank you very much, sir, for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I think one question is there. So in the chat box, sir. Yeah, apart from traditional intervention to control of pathogens, there are any novel technologies which are cost effective and successful. So I think Dr. Srikant sir has I think asked. Yeah.
Hello. I think there is no direct question. It is just suggestion, like what are the traditional interventions for the control of the pathogens, that those any novel techniques are available which are cost effective and successful. As you know that for the pathogen control, okay, there are various techniques have been invented, and they are routinely used in the various diagnostic techniques. In our lab also, we are also finding out certain physical methods for control of the pathogens by using certain like rays, like infrared rays, the UV rays. Okay, because you know that most of the uh, things which are mainly identified at the various processing plant of the commercial plant. So they need very quick method for control of the pathogens, so that their product will scan with a fraction of a second, and it may be made sterile, and which may be presented to their consumers. So and that what are the methods which are mainly developed, so that doesn't have any residual part, you know, and which be presented to you in a very best and safer way, so that the consumers they will not have any problem for acceptance. So these are the techniques which are in the process of developing. But as far as identification or the diagnosis of pathogens are concerned, so there are very rapid methods are available. Okay, certain kits are available. LAMP test is also available. They're developed in the kit forms, and even they're working at the field level also. So for the specific pathogens like Salmonella, Listeria monocytogenes, E. coli, okay, they're commercially available, and some of the research institutions they're also working on this aspect for developing more foodborne pathogens, for identifying rapidly and taking precautions at the production site itself. Thank you so much. Second question I may see in this chat box. How much maximum concentration of chlorine of the sodium hypochlorite can be used for washing the carcass? For carcass washing, it has to be used only 50 to 75 ppm, not more than that. Okay, if it is used more than that, then it will have, you know, that chlorine smell, because as you know that meat is a biological things. It absorbs any abnormal, you know, smell, and it will be retained for some time. Okay, so the carcass washing, okay, after washing with a normal water, then only that spray has been done with the chlorine that is not more than 50 to 75 ppm.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Then regarding the next session, that will be on 6th October, and two eminent speakers, Dr. N.K. Gowda. He is working as principal scientist, ICR, NIANP Bangalore, and we will talk on aflatoxin feed safety and amelioration. Then second speaker, Dr. Vishal Mudgal. He is also working as principal scientist, ICR CIRB, Hisar, Haryana, and he will present his talk on micronutrients for optimizing livestock health and production. So two important topics are there. So all participants are requested to join on 6th October, and every day as morning also I mentioned that your attendance is compulsory. Okay, so and thank you very, very much, all of you, once again. Now I declare today's session is over.